Oh, right guys, Poole ferry terminal. A bit of a rush this morning, bloody hell. Just about made it via bus and then taxi down here to passenger terminal just there. And managed to check in and obtain my boarding pass. There's quite a few people on this ship this morning. I'm going to head in now and join the queue because I've got a lot more time before we board. So come with me, we'll see what the ship's like. Yeah, I was in a bit of a hectic state that morning and I completely forgot to tell you I was heading out to Guernsey on the Condor Ferries fast ferry from here in Poole. The ferry terminal here is also the departure point for Brittany Ferries and their Poole to Cherbourg route, normally operated by the MS Barfleur. Yeah, a bit of a rush to get here this morning via bus and then taxi from Bournemouth, but I'm resourceful if nothing else. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a short while. Just joining the queue now for the ferry. There's quite a lot of day trippers on today, including myself. So it's going to be quite busy. I've got a seat in the Horizon Lounge, I think it is, on the way out, so we'll see what that's like, and that might be a nice respite actually from the crowd, and I need a coffee, so you come with me, we'll get on the ship and we'll go from there. I'll see you in a bit. Inside the ferry terminal you have plenty of seating, which I didn't have time to use, and a cafe to the left, which again I haven't really had time to look at unfortunately this morning. Through security, where there was a brief bag check-in operation, it was then onto a waiting bus which took us around the edge of the port, past all the trailers and various goings on that you can get in these kind of environments, and you could just catch fleeting glimpses of the ship, and then eventually we pulled up alongside where it was a quick disembarkation of the bus and onto the accessible gangway that led to boarding via the side of the ship, Condor Ferries HSC Condor Liberation. Here we go. Now boarding this way brought us onto the lower car deck first, and then it was up the orange stairs that brought me out onto the main, the only, passenger deck on the vessel. I headed straight for the stern of the ship, as I often do, to watch the last of the proceedings prior to departure. So I'll tell you what, I've just come outside because inside there it's absolutely rammed. Loads of people sitting down, loads of people queuing up for breakfast. I'll be doing that in a bit, but not quite yet. Just watching the last of the cars being loaded on, and it is really busy today. The vehicle deck looks pretty full, and obviously inside there's not too many seats to spare. About a quarter of an hour now till we depart, 9:09:15. So I'm going to stay outside for a bit and watch that. Okay, so as we watch the last of the vehicles boarding, let me tell you the story of how I just about made it in time for our departure over to Guernsey this morning. I was staying in Bournemouth and this was a Monday morning Condor Ferries sailing. I'd underestimated how long it would take to get here by bus with the rush hour traffic and all that. And because the bus was only taking me as far as Poole bus station, I had to get a taxi from there to the Condor Ferries terminal. Otherwise, there's no way I'd have made it in time. Anyway, there were no taxis at the bus station, so I decided to run over to the railway station in the hope there would be one there. Fortunately, there was a solitary taxi, but his card machine wasn't working, so you had to go to the cash point first, and then he whizzed me down to the ferry terminal. And it cost me a tenner that bit with tip, but honestly, if he hadn't have been there, I would have just missed the ferry. Simple as that. Well, it's not like me really, to be fair. I'm normally quite early for these kind of things, but it turned out I was the last passenger to check in. The Condor Ferry staff at the terminal were very friendly and helpful though. Maybe it was going to be one of those days. Anyway, sailing out of Poole Harbour must be one of the most picturesque departures from a UK port. You've got Guernsey Island here on the starboard side, owned by the National Trust. Its most prominent feature is Guernsey Castle, as you can see here, one of the fortifications built in the reign of Henry VIII to defend against the threat of a French invasion. There are ferries to Guernsey Island from Poole and Sandbanks, which we pass here on our port side. Now, Sandbanks is famous mainly for being a really expensive place to live. In 2005, it reportedly had the 4th highest land value anywhere in the world. More interestingly, perhaps, it is also the site of the Sandbanks chain ferry, and that takes passengers and vehicles across Poole Harbour to Studland. I'll be posting up a video of a trip I made on the Poole Breezer open-top bus, which uses the ferry as part of its route. That is a great bus trip, by the way, well worth an hour and a half of your time. Right, I need a coffee. I haven't had one yet this morning. Right then, guys. So yeah, I'm in the Horizon Lounge and I've got my coffee. I need to go to the cafe bar for some breakfast, I think. Some guy sitting in my seat, so he did offer to move, but I was kind of like, well, I'll go and find somewhere else to sit if there's any space. But it is quite a busy crossing. But it's fine here now. Table seat. Got my coffee. I'm moving pretty slowly out of Poole, but yeah, I'll see how the crossing goes. Okay, so the Horizon Lounge, consisting of a mixture of airline style and table seating. Prices start from £7.95. A seat number is allocated upon booking, but it would appear that not everyone takes any notice of it, hence some random guy sitting in my seat. The seats themselves are quite comfortable and wide, with a leather headrest here and armrests. The colour was, well, a kind of a dirty brown really, but I quite liked it. A few marks on some, but nothing too bad. Underneath the table seat in here, the legroom is decent enough, and note there is power in the form of conventional UK style plug sockets. There is an exclusive bar in here, though, yeah, it had a very limited selection of food, and nothing for breakfast really, not even pastries. I was told to go to the main cafe for that. Tea, coffee, crisps, etc., plus alcoholic drinks are all readily available. And it cost me an extra £13.45 to upgrade to this lounge one way. Was it worth it? Well, there are better views and better seats, including table seating, though they're not that much better. You'll be able to see the standard seating as I walk around the ship in a short while. The bar was nothing special, it doesn't really feel that exclusive, and nothing was free or even discounted. There is high-speed Wi-Fi apparently, though that's not free. Check out these prices here, €21.90 for a gig. And yeah, apparently you can only get streaming at this price. Well, I can debunk that theory straight away, because on the 30 minutes free low bandwidth Wi-Fi, YouTube, although it did take a while to get going, played absolutely fine. X worked okay too, so no, on the whole, I don't think the Horizon Lounge access is worth it personally. So yeah, the only real source of hot food was the main cafe, also known as the Casquette's Bistro. The queue was still large, but I was starving. And looking at the menu here, I actually thought prices were quite reasonable, considering they had a captive audience. I mean, £9.50 for a full breakfast is pretty good, £12.50 for a larger one. I had a croissant, bacon bap, and another coffee. Total price was £11.20. And yeah, special mention to the catering staff here, who were very friendly, helpful and chatty. We were well underway now, and funny, it didn't really feel like you were moving that much when you were inside. But once outside, you did get that sense of speed and power. The sea was pretty calm today, which did give us a super smooth crossing. And I decided to go back inside and have a quick tour of the rest of the ship. It wouldn't take long. So entering through one of these very heavy sliding doors at the stern, and like I said before, there's only the one passenger deck, and you have a seat map here right in front of you, which led me to believe that even standard seating has numbers, although I wasn't allocated one for the way back, so it can be used if necessary. Airline style seating really, but it looked perfectly comfortable to me. And note the ship is fully air conditioned, and you also have TV monitors at ceiling height. We come to the duty free shop here, which looked quite small from the outside, but inside was larger than I was expecting. It stocked the usual alcohol, perfumes, etc., everything you would hope to find. And opposite the shop is the Island Bar, where you can purchase snacks, alcohol, tea, coffee, similar to the one in the Horizon Lounge. And continuing towards the bow on this side, there is a small play area for kids, and more seating, the Casquette's Bistro I've already shown you, and then the information desk. A very helpful staff in here too. By the way, the code that I received to enter the lounge didn't seem to work, but yeah, there were so many people coming and going through here. It didn't really matter too much. It was so easy to get in. I did wonder how many people were legitimate customers, let's say. And finally, on the starboard side, you have the club class lounge, which looked much more exclusive. And I couldn't get in here, but I did have a quick peek through the door, and the leather seating looks much nicer in here, doesn't it? You get a dedicated host, a welcome drink, whatever that was, complimentary tea and coffee, and 200 megabytes of Wi-Fi to use as you wish, according to the website. Does this include the dark web? Just asking for a friend. Price for these privileges is £17.95 and upwards. Just up from here actually was a separate area of standard class seating, and nobody was sitting in here as it was taped off. But why was it taped off when the rest of the ship was pretty busy? I've got no idea, but in my opinion, if you don't want to pay extra, this is the quietest and most comfortable area of the ship. Would you sit in here and ignore the tape? Let me know in the comments below. Right, so time to head outside again. The best place to be on a day like this, in my opinion. Estimated time of arrival into St. Peter Port, Guernsey was 12:45, a 3.5 hour crossing. We left on time, and it had been a very smooth trip so far. Enjoy the views, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the ship as we head towards our destination. Did you know the deepest point in the English Channel is just north of Guernsey at 180 metres? Well, I didn't, but you know I mentioned the onboard TV monitors earlier. They were full of information like that, along with the usual advertising for both themselves and also local companies based on the island. And as you can see, we were just approaching St. Peter Port now, and what a beautiful day it was weather-wise. I was really looking forward to this. I'd never been to Guernsey before. The first thing you see really on the port side is the Castle Breakwater Lighthouse, and then Castle Cornet behind that. I quite fancied going to have a look at both of these, but I wasn't too sure how much I could do given that I was on a day trip and I had to be back at the ferry terminal at the latest by 15:45 for the 16:25 departure back to Poole. Foot passengers must arrive 40 minutes before departure both ways. Anyway, we managed to dock early at just before 12:30. Disembarking for foot passengers was via a gangway from the stern deck this time. Nice and easy. I made my way onto the quayside, ready to have a bit of a wander round. Oh, right then. Yeah, Guernsey, nearly 12:30, so that's not too bad. It's about 3 hours and 15 minutes. We left pretty much on time. Oh, it's a lovely day, isn't it? So, yeah, got about 3 hours to explore, something like that. Well, at least. So, yeah. I'm going to have a wander around, see what I can find, and I'll catch you in a bit. And when you arrive, remember to retain your boarding card, as you will need to show it to officials in the terminal building. Now, the lighthouse and the breakwater is of course really close when you go past it on the water, but bear in mind it is just over a mile by foot. Right guys, Guernsey. Yes, St. Peter Port, and I've just made my way round to Castle Cornet, which is, you can just see up there. I'm going to have a proper look at that in a minute, but I just wanted to come around here to catch the Liberation ferry leaving, and there it goes over there on its way to Jersey. And funnily enough, as that one leaves, another one arrives, the Condor, whatever it is, because I wasn't expecting it, and I can't remember what it's called, but we'll shoot some of the arrival in a minute, and you'll be able to see on the side. I should know this really, but yeah, I've forgotten. But well, what a fantastic day it is, and yeah, it's one thing getting here, it's another thing spending some time having a look around. My first time on the island, and so I want to show you guys a little bit of what I've been able to see in the 3-4 hours or so that I've got before I need to get back on the ferry. So yeah, come with me, we'll go and have a look at the island and see what we can do, and yeah, I'll catch you in a bit. I bet you were all shouting at the screen, HSC Condor Voyager, and you would of course be right. It was, I think, arriving from St Malo this lunchtime, and the breakwater here is a fantastic spot to watch the shipping coming and going, especially on a day like today. Okay, yeah, Condor Voyager, of course it was. Yeah, and that's just docking, and right behind that, pretty much, is the passenger ferry that takes people over to Herm for £17 return at the time of this recording. And you know what, if I'd have been to Guernsey before, I might have tried that, because I think you can get over and back on the ferry, and be back in time to get back to Poole later on today. But yeah, that's for another day, isn't it? Yeah, for me it was a question of what did I want to see and what could I see in the time I had on the island. I walked back down to Castle Cornet, which looked quite impressive from the outside. You enter over this little bridge here and through a kind of a tunnel with a portcullis at the one end, and it brings you out into this courtyard where, to get any further, you need to buy a ticket, and that's going to cost you £11 for an adult. And not too bad really that, but yeah, I'd probably wanted to spend at least a couple of hours in there, and that wouldn't have left me much time to do anything else really. On the bed, yeah. Like a bone thing, and Stu took a handful out of the bucket and licked it, and he went, oh yeah, that's salt, that's serving for us. Right, yes. I decided not to pay the £11 admission fee, just because I've got quite a lot to see today, and I would be here at least an hour, I would have thought, and I wasn't sure whether it was worth it or not. And maybe they do like a combined ticket for all sorts of other attractions. I think if I'm over here for longer than a day, then it's probably worth it. But I haven't got a lot of time to see everything, so I'm going to head into town now and see if I can get around a few more places. Just walking back into town. Look at this, right? This white building here, that must be some kind of World War II relic, surely. Not quite sure what. If you know, leave me a comment. We'll go and have a little bit more of an explore, I think. Yeah, well, I've walked around it, not much in the way of clues, but look at the thickness of the walls, and I guess that's the best clue, isn't it? Bunker in constant use. Not by the military, I wouldn't have thought, but yeah, it looks like somebody used to occupy it, and they've subsequently gone into liquidation. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see inside, wouldn't it? But like I said, if you know what it used to be, then please let me know. Look at these here. Yeah, you can just imagine some enemy fire coming out of that, can't you? Or prepare it to anyway. Guarding the harbour, which obviously is over there. I left the harbour side and ventured onto the high street, which looked to be pedestrianised for the most part, and then you got all the usual shops you would expect to see in the UK, plus some other independent retailers. And after that, I walked down the Pollette, an interesting name for a street. Not sure of its origins, to be honest, but yeah, again, it was quite a pleasant walk with the absence of vehicles at this point. Then I moved on, walking higher up behind the town centre and past the Guernsey police headquarters and the town hospital gate. And note the pelican above the main arch, a symbol of charity. And then I continued up College Street, stopping for a breather on a bench outside St James's Church. Oh boy, it's pretty hot today. Yeah, St James's Church there, built in 1818, as you can see above the door. It's not a church anymore. It's closed down in 1970, and in 1985 it was restored and turned into a bit of a live music venue. So, yeah, the place to come on the island if you want to see live music. And yeah, it's kind of uphill from the harbour. And what I'm doing is I'm sort of heading over there in that direction. And I was wondering, when I actually get up there, whether I can see a little bit more of the island, and whether this is the highest point or not, at least in St Peter Port. So yeah, let's carry on uphill. And I'm continuing to wander around Guernsey with not much of a name, to be honest, but sometimes that's the best thing, isn't it? Although, yeah, you might have just seen there is a landmark you can see when you come into port, right up on the hill, and it's like a tower, and it's called Victoria Tower, I think, and it's just over there. You know, that's the other side of this car park. So, yeah, again, I've got no idea how you get to it. I suspect I'm going the wrong way, but well, let's see. I'm up here now, aren't I? So let's see if we can have a look. Yeah, I was going the wrong way and should have walked up Monument Road past Candy Cemetery according to Google Maps. And the reason I wasn't using Google Maps will become apparent in a minute, but I did get to see some impressive guns here in the gardens on the other side of the tower. There's a fire station over there. I don't know what's going on. They just raised an alarm for something. Anyway, yeah, Victoria Tower up there, and yeah, this big gun in the grounds. They're German guns by the looks of it, howitzers from the First World War. See the other one just down there. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a sit down in a minute because there's something really important I want to tell you about. Well, yeah, in that shade probably because it's still pretty warm. Oh yes, the benches are covered in ants, so I'm going to sit on one of the howitzers, which is fine. It's a piece of history, isn't it? That. Yeah, I've been wandering around, and that's fine. I've got a map, a free map that I got at the ferry terminal when I disembarked. Yeah, and that's fine. But yeah, 4G mobile signal. Now, I found this when I went to Jersey last year that it does not, it's not covered under your normal UK mobile plans. So you've either got to buy a plan or just not bother. Which is, I don't know. I mean, I think this is stupid because, you know, if I went to France, which isn't far away from here, then that would be covered under my normal UK plan. So yeah, I get that it's a Channel Islands thing, but you know, I don't see the point. I think it's daft. I think it's impractical, and I just fail to see why it's not covered. There you go. That's my opinion, and let me know what you think. But so yeah, so in some ways it's a good thing because yeah, you have to use a map. But yeah, in other ways it's not ideal. But it's just to let you know. Like I said, my opinion is it's not great. Let me know yours. Anyway, let's crack on. I'm going to have a look at the tower, and I don't suppose for a minute I'll be able to get in. I think actually the key, you can get the key. It's available from the Guernsey Museum, I think. So unless I can piggyback on somebody else who's got it, yeah, we might just have to look at the outside only. Oh, come on. Built in 1848 to commemorate the visit of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert 2 years earlier, I reckon there would have been great views from the top of the 99-step spiral staircase you need to climb to get up to the viewing platform. Now, unfortunately, nobody was visiting the tower when I was there, but yeah, again, if I'd have known beforehand and researched it, I would have stopped off at the Guernsey Museum to collect the key. Another one for next time, really. There you go. Yeah, so you need the key. Right guys, yeah, back down by the harbour and look what's turned up. Another Condor Ferry. I think we've had 3 of the 4 today. That is the newer slow ferry, the Condor Islander, just peeking out behind the harbour wall there. And yeah, so it's, what's the time now? It's just 3:05 in the PM. So yeah, I think we've probably got to be back at the ferry terminal in about 40 minutes before departure, which by my reckoning would be about 4:05. So yeah, it's got just under an hour now to mooch around and have a little bit more of a look. And I think I might head in that direction over there, see if I could get some more coastal views. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? So come with me, we'll carry on exploring. I grabbed a coffee first. There are plenty of places to eat and drink down here overlooking the harbour. The Herm Island ferry was making its way out again, and yeah, I'd definitely have a go on this if I was here for longer. And opposite that you have the Liberation Monument, behind which is the Weybridge mast. To the right of the Liberation Monument, as you walk along, are various memorial plaques and monuments which are an important reminder of the island's history in respect of the occupation and liberation in World War II. There's a board here detailing each one and explaining what they stand for. It's well worth your time reading this and understanding the significance of their presence. I've just come down to Queen Elizabeth II Marina, and yeah, I was wondering if there was any money on Guernsey. Anyway, it's time to check in, so let's head back to the ferry terminal and I'll catch you inside. Yeah, so foot passengers make their way along the harbour towards the RNLI lifeboat station. There is plenty of signage showing you where to go. Across the road here, using the designated walkways, you arrive at these grand old buildings that contain a lot of the States of Guernsey port offices. There are toilets if you need them, and yeah, you just continue walking to the far end, over another road, and you're into the passenger terminal with check-in desks over to your left. Right, got my boarding card, and yeah, departure's just over there, and it sounds like it's really busy in there actually, so I'm a bit reluctant to go in, but yeah, departure's actually 16:25, so I'm going to move on because it's 10 to 4 now, so yeah, maybe we'll wait for these guys to go through. Yeah, so I'm in the ferry terminal. It doesn't appear to be that well organised, and it's a little bit chaotic. They announced that check-in had closed for the 16:25 sailing back to Poole. A load of people queued up the gate 2, I think it was, which is over there. And then a load of people started queuing up for gate 3, which is just there. But nobody actually knows whether this is the queue for Poole or whether it's the queue for Jersey, which I'm assuming is where the Condor Islander is going to when that finally leaves its berth. So, I mean, one thing I do know for sure is there's no way we're going to be getting out and off the island by 16:25, absolutely no chance. Well, it was Gate 3 in the end, the Condor Liberation using link span 1 this afternoon. Busy again inside the ship, I made my way to the stern to watch our departure. Right guys, so yeah, it's 16:30 now, so we're a little bit late leaving Guernsey. Got the last of the vehicles are being loaded on, and yeah, hopefully we'll be getting away soon. Estimated time of arrival in Poole is going to be, well, about 3 hours from now, isn't it? So about, 19:30. We were soon underway again, speeding north towards home. It was much quieter out on deck, and yeah, I've got to say, I wasn't expecting there to be as much deck space as there was. You've got a lot of room up here on the sun deck, and a few seats over there which were a popular spot throughout the voyage. Please, now, whatever you do, don't follow my terrible example of staying outside on deck with no hat when the sun is out and the wind is blowing. You will get burnt. You'd think by now I'd have learnt my lesson, but obviously not. If you keep watching, you'll see my head getting progressively redder as we go through the rest of the day. It wasn't a good look, I can tell you. I did move back to the stern and the viewing deck, but yeah, it didn't really help them because it was windy. I guess I just didn't notice the sun that much, and yeah, it was just really exacerbating the issue, to be honest. Anyway, I didn't worry about it at the time, regretted it later, and the next day, and the day after that. Yeah. Enjoy the views with me as we make our way back to Poole. Okay, so heading back through Poole Harbour, past the chain link ferry and the millionaires' mansions of sandbanks. And yeah, talking about money, well, as you know, I'm always on the lookout for a bargain on this channel, but this time I've got a confession to make. I paid too much money for this trip. So booked about 6 weeks in advance, total price was £51.45. That's £38 for the crossing and £13.45 for the Horizon Lounge one way. Now what I didn't know at the time was shortly after I'd completed the booking, Condor Ferries ran a promotion offering half-price day trips. Now that would have effectively reduced the cost by £19. And based on my experience, I wouldn't use the Horizon Lounge again, so yeah, if you take that off as well, I could have got this crossing for a total of £19 return. So my advice would be, if you're not bothered about paying extra to secure a seat in one of the lounges, just wait until nearer the time you plan to go. Keep checking their website, the deals websites and social media, and that way you're going to maximise your chances of getting a better price than I did. Well, we arrived a little bit behind schedule, about 15 minutes late by the time we were called to disembark, and it was back down the orange stairs again and across the gangway. Yeah. Right, back at Poole, and yeah, what I'm going to do is it's 7:45, so I'm going to head out, get something to eat, and then get back to the hotel eventually. We'll do some summing up when we get there, so yeah, catch you in a bit. It was another quick bus ride back to the terminal building, after which I decided to walk the mile or so back up to the bus station. It was a lovely evening, even the foxes were out, but yeah, after the ride back to Bournemouth on the bus and then my dinner, do you know what, I was so tired I just fell asleep. Or maybe it was sunstroke, I don't know really. Hello there guys from Bournemouth, and yeah, I know my face is red, you can stop laughing now, but I'll tell you what, yesterday was such a long day and it was really hot. And apologies, I didn't do the summary when I got back last night. I was just absolutely knackered. Yeah, do you know what? It's deceptive, isn't it? Because when you're on the ferry or any kind of ship out at sea, and you've got a bit of a breeze, haven't you? But the sun's out, and it's just, you don't realise until you get back that you're potentially suffering from sunstroke. But yeah. Anyway, fortunately, I never thought I'd say this, fortunately, it's cloudy today. So I'm heading out on another trip. But yeah, what did you think of the Poole to Guernsey ferry? The fast ferry, wasn't it? The Condor Liberation. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It's funny, really, because last year I took a trip. You may have seen this video. I took a trip on the Commodore Clipper, and I was bemoaning the fact that there wasn't much deck space. And yeah, interestingly, the fast ferries seem to have more deck space than the conventional slow ferry. So that was good. That was a really good start. And as you can see, I made the most of it. Interior-wise, yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, most of it it's just one passenger deck, and most of it is made up of airline-style seating. But there are a couple of lounges, and yeah, would I try the lounge again? I'm not too sure, really. The price-wise, yeah, I'm not sure I'd bother, because you don't really get that much for your money. And talking about money, well, yeah, I would do this trip. I would recommend this trip, but I would also say maybe wait until there are some deals on. You may get a better price, because I could have certainly done this cheaper. But, you know, I will know for next time. And Guernsey itself, yeah, really nice. And again, I think day trip, you don't get that much time on the island. I think, as I did when I went to Jersey, if I had a couple of nights there, then, you know, I can go outside of St. Peter Port and explore the island, and I think that would be much more worthwhile. And I want to do that with the Isles of Scilly as well, so watch this space for that. Yeah, overall though, I thought it was pretty good. Better than the conventional ferry. I would definitely recommend taking the fast ferry, whether you're going to Guernsey or Jersey or even St Malo, because I think it does go down to the north coast of France as well. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can catch me on another adventure soon. And as always, guys, cheers for now.